Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm in the mood for some fish.
You know, that rolls in nice. I'm Mitch, and I'm thinking about getting into competitive eating.
Tonight?
At some point. I've been doing nothing but watch TV lately.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of shows. It kind of sucks because you can't really do anything, and it's kind of depressing just to sit there. So I started watching some YouTube channels where they go and they competitively eat.
Oh my gosh, I can't do that. I can't watch that.
It's fun.
I don't think it is. All I think about is what they must do after, and that's barf.
There's this girl that
I know they're not supposed to. Like, that's the whole thing.
So there's a guy, Beard Meets Food.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Man, that guy can throw down. And then there's this girl, Katina Eats Kilos.
They're going to say Katina eats kids.
She only weighs about 100 pounds, and that girl can throw down.
My gosh.
She can eat.
That amazes me, too, when you see the skinniest guy up there, and he blows away the competition.
I'm impressed. I don't think I could eat that much. But there's some of it I'll be watching. I'll be like, oh, that one looks fun.
Man, I just don't think there's a food where I would want to competitively eat.
I know, because you're not tasting it anymore. Because
you're not. It's a competition.
I heard this that you got to get it all down before the hurting starts. I think there's truth to that.
Gosh, well, you see the hot dog ones. They wet the bun down to make it mush.
Yeah, it's gross.
Sounds amazing. Well, I forget. What are we talking about today? Being able to run without being tired.
Or being able to eat without getting tired.
Yeah.
No.
So something that seems to be popular. And I do remember, like, when first getting started, you're trying to figure out how do you run without being so tired. And
people and non-runners will ask you that. Like, how don't you get tired?
Yeah,
I know. My mother-in-law said that to my wife before, too. Like, when she ran her first marathon, she's run 2. And she says, well, if you get out there and you get tired, just lay down. Like, what? I'm not going to lay down? Like, what?
It makes me laugh because I've done that in 100.
I know. I was there with you.
Yeah.
Laying in the middle of the road.
Middle of the road. This feels amazing. That's a different thing. Yeah. That is not what we're talking about today. This is for those either new to running. We're going to go into a little bit more, but I am brand new, Mitch. I'm going to the YouTube channel and going, hey, how do I run without being tired?
And my first thing that I go to is I always think distance. Yeah. So I go right away. It's
Take a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the conversation. Like, hey, I am just starting out. I know nothing about running. How do you run without getting tired?
I'm going to start tomorrow. What do I do?
Oh my gosh. Well,
what's my mindset? What should my mindset be?
I would only run a little bit at a time. Like that. The biggest thing, it depends on what your goals are.
Yeah.
Do you want to be able to run around the block? How long? Like, you're not going to run without being tired around that block tomorrow.
Right.
So you're going to have to do things to get you ready. So you might not be able to run around the block without getting tired for a month.
Yeah.
It might take that long. So to me, it's the couch to 5K. We've talked about it a million times, but you don't have to use that program, but you should only run a little bit at a time, maybe walk the whole block and just run a little bit.
Yeah. It's perspective, it's goals. There's a lot that goes into that question of how do I run without getting tired? How do I run a block? How do I run a mile? How do I run 3 miles? And a lot of this is mostly coming from somebody who's, generally speaking, pretty new to running.
And I think that we forget it's not all about the run. What are you doing outside of that?
Yeah. True.
So
there's a lot that goes into it.
Are you starting to watch your diet at the same time? Are you eating foods that could prevent that?
Yeah.
what you eat matters.
Yeah. What you eat, how much you sleep. I know for me, that is a big thing. I do not probably get the rest that I should. And that influences my day the next day. Well, that influences your running. That influences everything that you do. So yeah, for the 5K and under perspective, where are you at with your running, things like that, it all is a gradual increase. You can't just go out there and think, all right, I'm going to start running. I want to run 2 miles. I want to do it without being tired. Well, that's probably not going to happen. Very few people can do that.
Set your goals.
Yeah.
You're going to be like,
it's a workup. You're going to have to do it a little bit at a time. You're going to think, well, no, this is stupid running a half a mile. I know I can run further. Well, maybe, but not if you want to do it right. You want to do it without being injured. You want to do it and feel good. Think about, like, for us, how many times have we went out on runs, and we, especially over the last few years, where we've talked about our quote unquote easy runs are not easy. And we are tired for one reason or another. It's probably because we're going way too fast. Flip side of that, we go out and we run truly easy, and how easy it actually does feel and how you don't get tired.
If you want to jump ahead, how many times have you had that?
I want to land the plane.
Right. But if you jumped ahead and you said,
oh yeah,
like, how many times have you been like, I could run all day at this pace?
Yeah. Right.
How you got to take it back. Like, how did you get to that point to where you knew the right pace that you could run and say,
good point.
I could just keep going.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. It didn't come from day one.
No,
it didn't come from day one. It came from putting in the time, putting in the miles, starting slow, starting easy, starting short.
If we're talking about, and if you're talking about just running around the block, say it's a 3 mile or 4 mile block around your house, it's not as much, proper rest, all that stuff. What you do the night before does matter. You shouldn't go out and drink all night and think that you're going to have an easy run the next day. But we're talking about beginners.
Yep.
So it really is just putting in the time. You could get to that point, you could suck it up and run all the way around that block and run the whole time and still be really tired. You do that a lot of times, and then you figure out your pace. You would be more like, okay, at this pace, I finally can run around the block without being tired.
Yeah, and you just have to put in the time and do it. There is a reason there is a Couch to 5K process plan. They're all over the place. You can Google that and you will come up with 100 different plans. There's a reason behind those. That's how you get, as a beginner, to get into that, being able to run without being tired.
Yeah.
Next area, let's jump into marathon, half marathon to marathon. Let's dive into that a little bit.
And let's talk about it like not racing. Let's talk about training for it. So how do I do my long run as training without getting tired? That's where what you do outside of the run starts to make a lot more difference.
Big difference. Yeah. I remember the first marathon I trained for, how diligent I was about what I was doing the day before, not drinking anything. Well, I would only drink water. I would just
not drinking alcohol.
No alcohol, no nothing. I would watch what I ate the day before. I would drink water, not a ton, but just consistently inputting water. Man, those runs the next day were amazing.
We were, for a while, early on in the running group days, we would do Friday night dinners. I'd have people over and we'd drink a bunch of beer, eat barbecue.
And then run the next day?
I'd get up for that Saturday morning and it's like, oh.
Why'd I do that?
Why? And pay for it the whole time. And that was a famous quote from Rudy. Like, I'm like, I feel like crap. He's like, well, there's plenty of places to puke along the way.
We're going. Let's go.
Like, we're going. So maybe there's some lessons that you need to learn with that. Like what not to do. Everybody has to do that. But it does matter. Like, I know people that have started to train for their A race for a marathon. And quit drinking for that training period completely
Yeah.
to try to help them
Yep.
with training. Because, I mean, what you do in your own time, that's up to you. But if you want, the best performance
Well, and even
it does matter.
Yeah, and even just to have the best experience. I mean,
Hmm.
who likes getting up the next day after drinking and barbecue to start the run? That's just not fun.
So we moved it to Saturday after that.
the barbecue. Yeah, good thinking.
Yeah. It was
that makes
recovery. It
sense.
was recovery then.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in text earlier. We used to recover from our 10-mile long runs with a ton of Wild Chef, probably putting in like 2,500 calories for the 1,000 that we burned.
Oh yeah,
So
we used to do. Yeah, we'd go to breakfast. We'd go to Real Food,
Yeah.
and I'd get like 2 breakfasts. Like,
yeah,
throw
gotta
it out.
replenish all that and then some
and some.
for the next 3 days. Calories. Yeah, and to your point, when you started the conversation about the marathon distance, how to run without being tired, and this isn't necessarily this is a how to be maybe more comfortable. There is a point that it's going to be tough. Yeah, you can run that distance feel like you could run it all day, every day, right? But there's a difference between racing and training. Yeah, a lot of your training runs, if they're supposed to be easy, you shouldn't be getting tired on them. You should feel pretty good. Now, a race, if you're not getting tired, like why? Why are you racing? Like, is it a race?
Well,
Truly a race, or is it a event? Yeah.
Right. Because I've done plenty of those. Like we've done, when you're doing multiples a year, it's not your A race then is really what it amounts to.
Yeah, true.
Like, hey, I'm trying to get a new state. We're going to run together. We're just going to have fun. We've done lots of those.
Yep.
But if you're racing, you're going to get tired. I don't know how to tell you you're going to get a PR without being tired. That's a lie.
Yeah, unless your PR should be even faster.
Because I have had a PR where, things were clicking. It was on.
Yep.
I wouldn't say I was running easy, but it was clicking.
Yeah.
So I was running hard, and I put everything I had at the end.
And we've talked about that. That is in all the races that you and I both have ran. That's one hand tops, like the number of times.
But it felt good the whole way.
That everything clicked that much.
Right.
That does not happen often. Now it can happen. Now here's the problem. So we're definitely getting sidetracked here a little bit, but I believe the reason that is because we get lax, we get a little lazy, we get a little like been there, done that, and not from a conceited been there, done that, but just like no, I've been down this road, I know how it's going to go. Yeah, I probably won't feel quite as good tomorrow. We just get a little bit lax with what we're doing the day before.
And it's interesting the difference though too. Like if you're training for something and running without getting tired, you probably should still have a couple of those days where you're gonna stretch yourself.
Oh,
so even within that, you're gonna I'm only talking about your easy days and your long run.
Yeah, agreed.
You should be able to run, but there's 1 or 2 days in there that you should probably run and be tired. Because the benefits of being tired is going to help you not be tired in those easier runs.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if we jump to the next distance, ultra distance, that's when you really start to show that kind of a thing where you're running to get tired almost.
Right.
You're running 50K, and then the next day you're going to run 15, 20 miles.
Right.
Well, it's hard not to feel tired on those days.
And when we're talking about ultra, we're talking
again, training.
And we're talking probably like that closer to that 100 distance. Like,
yeah.
Right. So we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit if you think about it, because you're running an ultra as part of your training.
True. Yeah. I'm saying the 50K is a training day.
Yeah.
And the next day is a training day.
Yeah.
Of 20 miles.
Yeah. And you're doing that and you're doubling up to make yourself tired.
Yeah, intentionally. Actually, one of the benefits is to teach yourself how to run on tired legs.
Yeah. And
mentally.
It's hard to say, again, we're jumping way ahead.
Yeah.
and this isn't for the beginner, but you don't have to worry about this as a beginner because you'll understand it once you get past the marathon.
Yeah.
You're going to double up to make yourself tired. It's different.
Yeah.
And so during the race, we kind of were chatting about that before. Have you ever been like in a 100-miler? Do you feel like you're tired while you're out there? Or is it a mental
Well, we
tired?
did talk about that. I will say this. I have definitely gotten tired because it's literally 24 plus hours. So you are up for 28, 30 hours. So yes, tired. But and we even said this even in the marathon distance, from marathon distance on up, you're going to reach a mental exhaustion or mentally being tired. Yes, 100%. Like, I don't know how I'm sure there are people out there that don't, but I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do those races without getting too, not even mentally tired, just mental exhaustion.
I don't know.
That's part of the race.
I don't know any of my friends that have done hundreds that come out and say,
yeah, that was
easy.
Sunshine and rainbows the entire time. I was so awake. I never got tired.
I think I witnessed Ashley sleepwalking,
I think I've been there.
And then,
yeah, 100%.
And then when I crewed Laura out west just in July, she wanted to just lay down on the trail, I think.
Yeah.
It was before I picked her up. I didn't let her. I think Kerry was like texting me. He's like, she is so tired.
Yeah. I don't know how you don't. I don't. And again, these are very different things. 5K, 10K, beginner, you're either getting back into running, whatever, figuring out how to run without being tired. That is completely different. You're either talking cardiovascularly, muscularly, figuring out pace, things like that. Very, very different from ultra distance running, feeling tired for multiple reasons. Also, leading or contributing to those marathon, let's say half marathon and up distances are nutrition. You really have to start introducing nutrition in specific ways to not get tired. Yeah, if you don't fuel yourself for a 20-mile run, guess what? You're going to get tired. Your body needs it. Now, some people can get away with it. You do a lot of running without nutrition, but you've also trained your body to do that in a different way. The way you eat, your body is used to a different cycle of nutrition.
It's interesting though, like when you started to talk about that, is going back to the beginner.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. Like,
no,
you are going to understand more of that when you learn how to run your block to push yourself enough that you get the repetition.
Yeah.
I was going to say reputation again. To be able to run that, and then you're going to be like, oh, I can run that whole thing, and I'm
not tired.
I'm not tired.
But you did it a quarter of the block at a time.
Right.
Then half a block, then 3/4 of a block, and then a block, and then a block, several times before you're able to get that. It is truly just putting in the time, doing it in a way that you can build up through not injuring yourself, things like that. Like we said in the beginning, there's a reason behind those programs that build you up over time. None of them start you with a 10-mile run. They start you out with, what are you currently at? You're on the couch? Okay, then let's start with 100 meters.
And then
run that.
Yep.
Then walk. Like you said, you know what? If you have a hill in that block, maybe you got to walk that hill. It's just part of it. It is part of getting to the distance. There's no quick and fast way to be able to run without being tired.
And then when you get beyond the block, that's when it's all of the outside things come into play.
Yeah.
You always remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no quick and easy way. It's just through time. It is through pace. It's following pace. Obviously, that is a huge aspect of it. If you think you're going to go out there and sprint, you're just not going to do it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You got to slow down. You got to slow yourself down to a pace that feels awkwardly slow, and you are going to be able to run much, much further than, running a faster pace. That's how it is. And then as you build up the distance, you start to learn more and more how far you can go, and then it all starts to click.
And then you meet new people, and then they say, you should do an ultra.
Yeah. And that's when you find a new running group. No, I'm kidding. Do it. Totally do it.
You succumb to the pressure.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, those are just some quick things to help you figure out how to potentially run without being tired and progress to around your block and so on. And yeah, go check us out on Facebook. Go check us out on YouTube. Go check us out on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all of that. Click the like, follow, subscribe. It takes you no time to do that. Speaking of not getting tired, you will not get tired doing that. Just click the like, click the share, click the subscribe.
Write us a story.
Write us a story. You probably won't get tired with that either. Maybe, but I doubt it. But do all of that. But that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.